around the sides kind of stuff that the little couple always used to do in the Bill Haley movies with the crinolines and the little white socks and the belt buckle on the back.
Yeah. See, that's what I say. It is a good dance in that, the jitterbug and the bunny hop and the foxtrot. But there's a lot of kids that have that talent that just don't dare get out there and do it because, you know, everybody else is in a different mood.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I know. Well, what a good time. What a good time for Terry Dwayne to sit down here and tell us about a chance. Talk about a commercial lead-in. Thank you, Mrs. Dwayne, for calling.
Dwayne?
Terry, on... I know you're not. On maybe you are. I don't know.
No.
They dance. Terry Dwayne is a guy that has all the records, and we thank him for bringing them to us. And Terry, you're over at the Petite Lounge on Sunday nights, and they do all sorts of kinds of dances there as you play all sorts of records, don't they?
They sure do.
What do you tell the people what you do, and what are we talking about, Terry?
Well, the main setup over there that we started, it was an idea that somebody else had, that a different type of music would.
You can't hear? Do we have Terry's mic on? We have Terry's mic on. Okay, why don't you push it towards you and speak up there, young man.
Well, okay. The idea started out, somebody else had the idea that if we could get some type of music going and over at this lounge on a Sunday night, because the band wasn't playing this night, that...
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Oh, forget it. Go ahead.
Well, anyway, that that might go over, so this was the major idea, or this is how it got started.
Now, 6 nights a week, there's a live band that plays what kind of music?
Well, they play, right now there's a country western group there, Freddie Miller and the Travel-Ons.
Okay, and then you come in on Sunday night with your professional turntables and your, 24 boxes full of old records out of the past? He's got a lot, folks. A lot of records.
Well, there's a lot of records.
Whole bunch of records.
24 boxes is an exaggeration, but...
Actually, there are 2,400 records in each of the 2 boxes he has. Something like that.
That's pretty close.
Yeah. And you play mostly early rock and roll?
Well, some rock and roll, some popular. It depends what the mood is. Sometimes the people are in the mood for real, deep rock, and we'll hit heavy on the rock. And if you sense the mood is going off, then something maybe slow and easy, maybe even a tearjerker, something you can dance with.
Oh, lots of tearjerkers back in those days. And people dance. I know the couple nights I've been there, you've got people swinging, and you've got people twisting, and you've got people doing anything they want to. So I think maybe, maybe either the dancing never went away or it's coming back, one of the two. Okay?
Yeah, but are you guys going to have like a little record sale after a bit, for rock and roll?
A record sale?
Mm-hmm. Like you send in for rock and roll music and that. I think you'd really make a lot on that. Because there's a lot of young kids around that, want to buy them, yet where they can't get them in the stores now because they're so old, but yet they're good.
Well, you can get the golden oldies, can't you, in the stores? Don't I see ads? Sam has a collection. He never made much money in rock radio, but you got all the records you could eat, so he'd be happy to auction off his personal collection.
No, you'd get arrested. No, really. There was one fellow up in, I won't name the market, but as disc jockeys go through, and of course they get sample copies of all the music that they play. And of course his wife had one of the early garage sales, and this was 8 or 9 years ago. And of course he had all his records downstairs, and so she brought the records up, and she took them down to the women's rummage sale or some darn thing. Mm-hmm. And she had all the records there, and somebody came through, and all the labels, it says radio station copy not for sale. So she picked one up, brought it home, and her husband happened to be some kind of a legal eagle, and he took one look at that and blew the whistle, and it was all over, and he was almost in jail.
So we're not going to sell any records. Hey, thanks for the call. Good morning. You're on WLOL. My guest can hear you.
Well, you answered one of my questions. Where's Hal Murray? I remember him very distinctly in the early days of KDWB.
Hal Murray was one of the wild men on the air, and he was as wild off the air as he was on the air.
Hey, we got a treat for you, too. After the news at 1, Sam brought air checks, and we've got Hal Murray on there, and I guess...
In living color.
In living color, and most of the guys I mentioned, so we'll play a little bit of each one, and you can relive fond memories of the past.
He's down in Miami now, right?
That's the last I heard. He was on KQV in Pittsburgh, and from there he went to a station down in Florida's his home. And he went back there, and I saw an ad in the trade magazine, Broadcasting Trade Magazine, which he was looking for work about a month ago, and it said the Murray-Go-Round, and they always called it the Murray-Go-Round, and he always had a stack. He was a stand-up comedian, nightclub stand-up comedian, burlesque. And they had to talk about toning a guy down to go on the radio.
Yeah.
This guy couldn't do anything until the engineer stripped.
That's why they had the fire out there, I guess.
Hey, will you please tell me, give me an idea. What do your top jocks make, like Bobby Sherwood and Jimmy Reed make? Can you tell me, approximately?
Oh, boy.
Without getting specific, how about this market? What does a good rock jock make in the 14th largest market in the U.S.?
It's very, very difficult to say because each individual makes his own deal. There's a base that you start from, and each individual, of course, makes his own, the top. There's no top on it, but there's a bottom on it. And I would say probably the average rock and roll disc jockey, there's probably one out there listening saying, this guy's out of his tree, man. I'm going into somebody and get a raise tomorrow. But I would assume they're somewhere on a base salary of anywhere from 12, 14, 16, 18,000 a year as a base.
I hope King Michael's listening now. He works midnight to 6, and he can call us and let us know if that's true.
Yeah, I know Mike, too.
Yeah.
Sam Sherwood, what are you doing now? I didn't catch it.
There's another commercial lead-in. Hit it.
WAYL, right?
Thank God my brother called.
Yes.
Yes, WAYL. I'm Vice President and General Manager of a broadcast organization called Entertainment Communications, which WAYL is one of the entities in that corporation.
Then you know my buddy Larry Roberts.
Indeed so. Very, very sharp, young individual, which these are the type of guys that really turn on broadcasting. He's one of the most alert young guys in broadcasting.
He is. I went to school with him last year. He's a first-class guy.
Yeah, no question about it.
Hey, thank you for the call. Couple lines available, 698-5566. What's the format of WAYL?
Beautiful, beautiful music playing at this very moment.
At this very moment. Music to go to sleep on.
Did you see how I got that mellow?
That was immediately, yes, the change.
World's most beautiful music. Now, this thing, when I had been in AM radio for since I began in broadcasting and knew nothing else. And one day, a fellow called me and said, Sam, have you ever thought of FM radio? And I said, oh, geez, come on. I said, you're kidding. I said, yeah, I do. And I, take a cold shower and I have breakfast food and it's all over.
Careful now, we're on FM too.
Oh, that's right. But after I took time to research it and take a look at what was happening, I was amazed. And I took a look at markets like Philadelphia, markets like Boston, markets like Detroit, Phoenix, St. Louis. And FM was really happening, really coming on and being an influential commercial entity in the market against AM broadcasters. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I said, oh, man, I'd just been out to lunch. So got involved, put the thing together, and we start rolling, and it's been very kind to us.
Yeah. I know I've been surprised that the Twin Cities doesn't seem to have a hard underground rock FM station, which is one of the things that's happening in FM, and getting rid of that opinion that all you're going to hear is either background music or classical, which is where a lot of people put FM formats, I guess. That's not true today.
KQ is pretty...
I suppose that could be why, yeah.
Yeah, I don't... being away from the real pop music for, a couple of years, it's like, again... the new cars come on, you get a new set of wrenches. You got to keep with it every day. And I read the trades every day, but I don't understand them as well as I did.
Well, that's age, Sam. I hate to tell you this. That's just age.
Well, look, I know it. I'm realizing that, Marv, and that's why I'm going downhill.
We're propping him up with coffee,
folks. Good night,
folks. Fast. It's 12 before the hour. Let's take a break. Hey, a couple lines available, 698-5566, if you'd like to talk about rock radio.
WLOL, where the Twin Cities talk.
Hello, Twin Cities and points elsewhere. I'm Bob Allard, the fellow behind the mic on WLOL's Lifeline. 5 hours of talk radio every day, Monday through Friday from 11 to 4. We talk about a lot of things, argue a bit, and enjoy some interesting guests now and then. I suggest you listen. Better yet, try to get aboard with your call and comments at 698-5566. That's Lifeline, daytime talk on WLOL, the spirit of 1330.
Hey, let's talk just a minute about Lake Street Bootery. And let me talk to some of you younger people. Anyone who's younger than I am is young. So if you're 35 or under, you're young. And sometimes when we talk about shoe stores that can fit hard-to-fit sizes, you immediately start thinking of granny shoes. And you say, well, yeah, they got the big shoes and the small shoes and the fat shoes and the thin shoes, but they all look like 1907 styles. Hey, not true. At Lake Street Bootery, 27th and East Lake Street, they've got a fantastic selection, not only in size, but in styles. You drop in there, you talk to Vince Camaro, and he can sell you shoes for wintertime, overshoes, boots that are as stylish as you can find any place in the Twin Cities. Plus, they'll fit you. I can almost guarantee that no matter what's your foot problem, you can be fitted at Lake Street Bootery. Drop by, see Vince, and ask him how you can get your 13th pair of shoe free. That's kind of a good deal. Let's see, must be 13th pair of shoes, right? You wouldn't want just the 13th shoe. That'd be a little awkward. Yeah, kind of hobble. Okay, Lake Street Bootery, 27th East Lake Street. The place to go for sizes and styles hard to find, and where the magic word is Marv Rickman Gatch.
WLOL weather.
Forecast. Well, Sam, why don't you read the forecast? Is that allowed? Are you still paying your after dues?
No.
No. All right. Well, he's a guest. He's an expert. Therefore, it's all right if you're an expert.
Yes, I am an expert on the weather forecast.
Try not to panic where I crossed a word out there.
Where's that?
That means this morning now. This is morning. It's not
cloudy
night.
This morning.
Right.
With a low of 28. Becoming partly cloudy Friday. You know, I'm starting to settle down now. I was nervous when I began. Can I do this one thing, Marv?
Please.
Hi, Mom.
Everyone's wildest dream, right?
Variable cloudiness, a little warmer Friday night and Saturday with a chance of a little snow Friday night. Hey, that's groovy.
Yeah, right.
High Friday 40. You know, every person on the radio complains about the weather.
I guess
all the new guys come in town from Florida, and they all come in from Texas, and they all take the forecast and they start putting it down from the Twin Cities forecast, and it's all downhill then. But they don't realize that they're talking to the natives here that love it.
Who?
I guess.
Where? Are you a native?
No.
No one's a native here. No one's loving it. I see.
Well, that lousy snow is going to be here. Let's see. High Saturday 48. Some more lousy snow is going to be for the weekend. So forget it, folks.
Forget it, folks. You didn't want to know.
Beep, beep,
33 degrees and cloudy skies outside.
WLOL, talk of the Twin Cities.
Well, we certainly are. 698-5566. Good morning. You're on WLOL. My guest can hear you.
Yeah, what you were talking about before is sort of a lead-in to my question. Are you familiar with KDWB-AM?
Yes.
FM?
Yes.
Do you know why they changed their format about a year ago?
It's every young broadcaster's prerogative to go their own separate route.
Now,
and it's,
why don't we explain what Key Stereo was and what Key Stereo is now?
Key Stereo was Bill Drake, which is Hit Parade 70 or 71, whichever particular year that you listened. Bill Drake puts the format together in Los Angeles and has stations syndicated around the country, and he puts it on stations that are automated, which means that they put on big machines and it runs automatically. It's not manned, and in many parts of the country it's successful. Well, there were, I guess, probably management, I don't know. I'm just assuming that they felt that they had reached a saturation point with it, maybe, and decided to change. And they changed it to a format that is being done in New York right now, a programmer that's in New York. And why they changed, I don't know.
Isn't it usually got something to do with profit?
Sometimes, not...
Not always?
No, not always.
Well, I thought I understood that they were number 2, you know, when they were at their peak. I think WAYL was number 1.
You're talking about FM, perhaps?
Just FM stereo. And then KEY was number 2. And I was wondering why they changed when... Because I know they were very popular. I used to listen to them all the time, and I know they were in a lot of the stores, you know, on their stereos and that.
Who do you listen to now?
Well, I sort of listen to...
Notice the begging in his voice, the pleading.
WWTC I like.
Would you hang that phone?
Yeah, right. I'm sorry we have to go now. That's okay. We'll let him talk. I figure that Ray Ossie, who manages WLOL-FM, has just slit both wrists in his throat, so it doesn't matter anyway.
No, but I really enjoy your station, too, you know, for talking, because I think it is, you know, one of the most interesting stations around.
See, now I got my brother to call. We all had our relatives on. It's my turn now.
Because you have some competition now, you know.
I think that one thing maybe that happens today, and Sam, maybe you have some thoughts on this. I think people push buttons a little faster today, or listen to different kinds of stations at different times for different reasons. I remember when rock first came in, people who listened to it never changed, but I don't know if that's true anymore.
I think the younger audience is more fickle than the adult audience. The adult audience is going to zero in on something, and they're going to be more satisfied with it longer, and they'll hang with it longer. Still, the young audience is still a moving audience, and it's an active audience, and they want something. If it isn't happening now, man, they're going to go with something where it's at. And the pop music programmers and the pop station programmers have to be with it every single minute of every single day, 24 hours a day, and if they aren't, they're losing out. This is a nightmare situation. You're constantly in the fire and constantly thinking of new ideas, and your family becomes secondary, and they start to get hacked, and all of a sudden you find that, you wake up someday and you come up with the greatest idea in the world, and you've got nobody in the house to tell it to. They're all gone.
Yeah, right. My goodness, wonder how long they've been gone.
Yeah.
I remember last Christmas they were around.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for the call. Good morning. You're on WLOL. My guest can hear you.
Yeah, Sam, would like to congratulate you on your success at WAYL. I read your letters there in Billboard. Seen them there.
Thank you.
What did you do?
I read them in Billboard, the letters to the editor.
Oh, yes. I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. You see, every time you come up and say something, FM broadcasters are very much on the defensive.
I think you mentioned something about being number 5 or something.
Well, we were... there was a survey done of FM stations across the country, and the trade magazine that did the survey was kind enough to include WAYL among one of the leading FM stations in the country. So I just stated a couple of figures, and I neglected to state the share of audience that translated that quarter-hour average into a share of the market. And I neglected to say that, and every FM broadcaster in the world came down on me, from WBBM FM in Chicago to New York, and say, "You dummy, we got more than you." And they're always on the defensive, and they come on like gangbusters.
Yeah, I saw your letter there, taking back a little bit of what you said there.
Yeah.
The main reason I called is, were you at KDWB when the Monkees came in town?
Yes.
I heard that you got quite upset when you were driving your car.
Well, no, I was in the room when they were doing me in. We had a thing called Secret City. The Monkees came into town, and everybody was wondering where they were staying. And we set up a studio in the Cap Towers where they were staying, and we called it Secret City, and we had the microphones and the turntables and the console, everything up there. And Peter Tork and Davey, they were all in there doing a stint on the radio. And Mike, boy, see how my mind is going?
Good old what's his name? I remember him well.
Good friend of mine, he was on the air, and he took, when the record was playing, he said, "Who is your biggest sponsor on the air?" I said, well, I don't, what do you mean, biggest sponsor? He said, "Who spends the most money in advertising on your radio station?" I made the mistake and told him. He came on the air, and he called that sponsor everything from, I wouldn't mention it here, it went downhill.
Right.
And, it was a very embarrassing situation.
The paper said that, I don't know, they must have the wrong story. They said you were driving your car at the time when they offered $80,000 to anybody that could name the Secret City.
Oh, yeah.
You hit your hand on the top of the car or something and dislocated it.
No, I almost went up the pole.
Sounds like something that a Sam Sherwood would send out in a press release.
But we've had Wilder Promotions, the largest Christmas cookie in the world, which had me fired 3 times.
I remember, I think something about Jimmy Reed when he worked there. Was he sitting on a flagpole at one time?
Oh, yeah, and somebody lit the flagpole on fire at night while he was sleeping. And there was a guy came through with a big semi-load of elephants. And Jimmy Reed had an elephant horn down there. And the guy just happened to come through town with the elephants, and I said, "Hey, we'll really surprise Jimmy. We'll get the elephants, parade them down the street. He always blows the elephant horn. You'll see the elephants, and he'll go right out of his tree." So we got all the elephants down there, and we had signs. We sold it to a milk company that just came out with a chocolate milk, and we had bigger than elephants, KDWB, and such milk. I can't even remember what the heck it was. We had 5 elephants parading down past the Fauché Tower, and they all decided to go down the garage underneath the Fauché Tower. They got nervous because the wind was blowing the signs on the side of them. And Jimmy Reed saw the elephants down the street, and he thought he was going out of his mind. And we paraded the elephants around the block and back into the truck, but, that was a bearcat trying to catch those babies down in the garage.
Hey, thanks for the call. That's one of the fun things about rock radio was that as there got to be competition, they tried to outdo each other with people staying up on top of flagpoles or guessing contests or people staying underwater or being buried alive or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I did the they broke the world's record in marathon bowling.
Marathon bowling.
Yeah, out here at Stadium Bowl.
I wondered about that thumb. I noticed when you walked in, it was still
yes, it's a
abnormal.
perpetual hitchhike with me.
Yeah. How long is the world's record for marathon bowling?
Well, let's see. A fella in Texas had it. The record's been broken many times since. But we started Friday night. We wrapped her up Sunday night. Continuous bowling. It was like, I don't know how many thousands of pins. And it was just a murder. I worked out for it religiously and soaked my hands in brine and got them tough and everything and stayed awake and did the oxygen routine and got all in shape for it. Hadn't I been in shape, it would have been a disaster.
Yeah. I know we had various people various times who would try to stay up for usually raising money for charity. And they would tell some very strange stories about the things they could remember afterwards, how the mind takes flight after X number of hours without sleep.
You go right to pieces.
Yeah.
We did it for cancer, to raise money for cancer. And after they said we covered the world's record by an hour, and after it was over, I just collapsed and went into the hospital for a day. And I could have taken a bowling ball and thrown it overhand. I really could have.
Only you wouldn't have let go. You would have probably gone right along with it and knocked the pins down.
I had a right arm that was terrific.
We have a minute past the hour of 1 o'clock. This is Open Line on WLOL-AM and FM, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Couple lines available, 698-5566. After the news, back with my guest, Sam Sherwood, Terry Dwayne, and Rick Mann, and Ron Fisher. And who's left? Stu? Stu Saunders? No. Okay, well, we're down to 4 here on Open Line.
The talk of the Twin Cities.
Why does it end up at the dead letter office? Because the address is wrong or illegible, and no return address inside or out. The moral? Always include your return address. Then if we can't deliver your mail, we can at least send it back. And always include zip code. Then we're sure to deliver it to the right city and post office the fastest way. Return address and zip code. They could put the dead letter office out of business.
The preceding message was brought to you by the United States Postal Service. Bill Maher, Mutual News, New York.
This is your network for news. The Mutual Broadcasting System.
And next up, WLOL Twin Cities Weather Talk with a forecast calling for cloudy skies the rest of the morning. Becoming partly cloudy today with little temperature change. Variable cloudiness a little warmer tonight and tomorrow with a chance of a little snow late tonight. Low this morning, 28 degrees. High today, 40. Low tonight, 32. The high on Saturday all the way up to 48 degrees. Currently in the metropolitan Twin Cities area, winds out of the west-northwest at 15 miles per hour. Humidity 78%. The barometric pressure falling slowly from 29.89. We've got cloudy skies with very light snow falling, and the WLOL Twin Cities temperature reading remains 33 degrees. And now, just before much more music and Marvin Gatch, I'm Ron Fisher. Next news on WLOL at 2 o'clock.
The opinions expressed are not necessarily those of WLOL, its management, or sponsors.
Call WLOL Open Line, 698-5566.
And now, from Minneapolis, St. Paul,
WLOL,
the talk of the Twin Cities, continues with Open Line.
Maybelline, why can't you be true? Oh, Maybelline, why can't you be true? You done started doing the things you used to do. As I was motivating over the hill, I saw Maybelline in a coupe de ville. A Cadillac rolling on an open road, nothing out to run my V8 4. A Cadillac doing about 95, bumper to bumper rolling side to side. Maybelline, why can't you be true? Oh, Maybelline, why can't you be true? You done started back doing the things you used to do. A Cadillac pulled up to 104, before got hot and wouldn't do no more. Gun got a cloud and started to rain. I tooted my horn for the passing lane. The rainwater blowing all under my hood. I knew that was doing my motor good. Maybelline, why can't you be...
Hey, that's Chuck Berry. I'm Marv Gatch. Sammy Sherwood's here. This is Open Line. We're taking a look at the days of rock and roll radio, and sometime this hour we'll be playing little excerpts from some... What were the guys at KDWB called? The Men of Music, or any generic name?
The Swinging Gentlemen.
The Swinging Gentlemen.
Gee, that's catchy, isn't it?
Has a real up-to-date ring about it.
Yeah, that was.
At least you didn't call them the gay young men of KDWB, which some stations used to.
Then they graduated into the good guys.
The good guys. That was always big.
Well, you know where that originated from, and this, so help me, is it originated out of a labor dispute in Los Angeles. And KFWB was in this labor dispute, and management had drawn the line down the middle, who were management folk and who were part of the shop, and it was the good guys and the bad guys. And a record company put out, because KFWB was so powerful in Los Angeles then, they were breaking records and instigating records they were instigating a whole music feeling for the whole country, and they were so powerful. And a record company put out bumper stickers saying, I'm one of them KFWB good guys. And then from there, it went to desk paperweights, and went from one thing to another. Then Don French, who has a brilliant, fertile mind, put together a series of public safety messages by 5.5-year-old Diane. And these were little, I think there's some on the air check tapes that I brought. This little gal who gives safety messages and said, that's, and drive like one of them KFWB good guys. And that's where good guys became. Then we became the good guys, and then, you know...
At least one station in every market was the good guys.
Oh, yeah. Everybody... That Crowell Collier was a type of a chain that everybody was involved. Every disc jockey was involved in the whole organization, because every 3 months, the entire chain got together and met and exchanged ideas and decided on one course to take. And how it worked, the program director would say, okay, every disc jockey come up with your best fun idea, your best major promotion idea, and your best outside promotion idea. And an outside promotion was something that would happen outside the station. A major promotion was a contest on the air, and a fun promotion was something like KDWB feeds your dog, and then we'd put whistles on the air, and you put your dog food by the radio, and the dog would come by the radio, and we'd feed them. No, that routine. So... So we would accumulate all these ideas, and the program director would hop aboard a plane, and we would head for Los Angeles, and we would exchange ideas with the other Crowell Collier stations and come up with one common idea and one common approach, and we would come back to our stations and put it in force and go. And all stations would hit with the same contest, the same idea, the same day, and have the same promos, and so nobody could steal the ideas, because it got to be...
You hit every market.
Well, KFWB in Los Angeles would get a little ahead of KE and KD, and they used to start monitoring the station and then turn around and come at us with our own ideas in the other markets. So it was a very, very unique setup. It was just beautiful.
Does, I hear you saying does Crowell Collier no longer own KDWB?
No, it's owned by a corporation called Valjohn Incorporated. They bought it from Crowell Collier.
Okay. We have, We have 13 past the hour. Let's take some phone calls, and then we'll play those air checks. Good morning. You're on WLOL. My guest can hear you.
Yeah, Marv, how are you?
Good.
Mr. Sherwood there?
Right here.
Sam?
Yes.
Who was the old Scotchman?
Who was the old Scotchman? Yeah. Oh, boy. The old Scotchman.
You just mentioned his name, about 45 minutes ago.
The old Scotchman. You've got me.
Gordon McClendon.
Oh, Gordon McClendon, yes, of course.
He never was in this market.
No.
You're talking about promotions. That's all he used to do was promotions.
Oh, Gordon had, still does. He has a brilliant promotional mind.
Yeah, he used to take his airplane up and solo it himself, you know.
Oh, he originally began in motion picture theaters, didn't he?
And then he owned KLIT in Houston and KLIF in Dallas, and he had another one, I guess, in Oklahoma City. He used to take his plane up, and fly for 2,000-3,000 hours at a time,
Amazing man.
Was he the guy that invented, was there an inventor of rock radio as we know it?
Yeah, Todd Storrs, really.
Probably Storrs.
The late Todd Storrs. At the time, a very young, vibrant executive that
was young himself at the time, too.
Pardon?
Gordon was young in himself at the time.
Oh, yeah. But Todd Storrs was really the originator of rock and roll radio.
Yeah.
And when he put together, nobody could conceive the idea that who could have the guts to put 40 records together, play them over and over and over again, and have their call letters sung in unison by a group of singers? That would never work. No how.
Yeah.
And it swept the country so fast.
You know, I imagine the fact that network radio happened to be dying or starting to die at the same time helped.
Yeah.
Although it would have been fun to see if it would have gone in the 30s. Would have been. I wonder if it would have gone in the 30s against a strong network radio.
But that it would be an interesting test. I don't know. Did you work for Gordon McClendon?
No, I lived in Texas, and
oh, you do. Oh, he's Mr. Texas.
Well, of course, he still can't win the governorship.
Well, he won't let up until he comes to some conclusion on it.
You know, you were talking about promotions, and one of the greatest gimmicks I ever heard was put on by Gordon McClendon was he started about
Mutual News in New York. I want you to meet some of Mutual's men on the move in news capitals around the world.
Alan Thomas of Reuters in Moscow. Ian Meadows, Mutual News, Beirut. Joseph Reed, Mutual News, Saigon.
Don Snyder, Mutual News, Berlin. Alexander Chancellor, Reuters in Rome.
Aaron Pearl, Tel Aviv.
In addition to our correspondents around the world, there is our highly skilled staff of Washington reporters covering the fast-moving events in the nation's capital, along with the specialists in our New York headquarters who assemble, write, and report the news as it happens over more than 550 local affiliated stations. You're listening to one of these Mutual affiliates now, offering the best in entertainment, information, and public service. And that means hundreds of additional men on the move to keep you informed locally, nationally, and worldwide. Stay tuned to this Mutual station, and you'll stay on top of what's happening everywhere.
Tom Blair, Mutual News, New York. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
And WLOL Twin Cities Weather Talk, the forecast calling for cloudy skies this morning. Partly cloudy during the day with little temperature change. Variable cloudiness, a little warmer tonight and tomorrow with a chance of some snow late tonight. Low this morning, 28 degrees. High today, 40. Low tonight, 32. The high on Saturday, 48 degrees. Currently in the metropolitan Twin Cities area, winds out of the west at 12 miles per hour. Humidity, 78%. The barometric pressure continues to fall from 29.90. We've got cloudy skies, very light snow falling in the Twin Cities, and the WLOL temperature reading now 33 degrees. At 12:08, I'm Ron Fisher. Next news on WLOL at 1 o'clock.
The opinions expressed are not necessarily those of WLOL, its management, or sponsors.
Call WLOL Open Line, 698-5566.
And now, from Minneapolis, St. Paul,
WLOL,
the talk of the Twin Cities, continues with Open Line.
I dig rock and roll music and love to get the chance to play. I think it's about the happiest sound going down today. The message may not move me or mean a great deal to me, but hey, it feels so groovy to say. The mamas and the papas at the Trip Sunset Strip in L.A. And they got a good thing going when the words don't get in the way. And when they're really wailing, Michelle and Kev are sailing. Hey, they really nail me to the wall.
Hey, it's 11 minutes past the hour of 12 midnight. Good morning to you. This is a Friday, the 19th day of November, the 323rd day of the year. There's 42 days left in the year. Hey, what happened? Let's take a look at 1954. That was about the time rock and roll got started. On this date in 54, it was announced that the U.S. would build a radar warning system across Arctic Canada. Remember that one, Sam?
That was before my time.
That was before Sam's time. Back in 62, a jazz concert was held at the White House for the first time as Mrs. John Kennedy entertained the teenage children of foreign diplomats.
That I wasn't at either.
They didn't invite you either.
What do you get a girl with that kind of a house?
That's true. Happy birthday today to Indian Prime Minister Gandhi. She's 54 today.
What do you get her?
I don't. What kind of house does she have, though?
I don't know.
Former baseball star Roy Campanella is 50, and TV entertainer Dick Cavett, who sounds just like me, is 35. He's older than I am. No wonder he's on television.
Well, that's right. He's had more experience.
Certainly. Here's a thought for the day by Mortimer Collins, famous English writer.
Will we ever forget him?
Will we ever forget him? A man is as old as he's feeling. A woman as old as she looks. Profound.
Marv, I'd like to write that down.
It's a good thing there's a comma there. We have 12 past the hour. In case you haven't guessed, we have a guest. We're going to talk about the great days of rock and roll music, which is kind of a laugh because I don't know that the guys who were playing the music at the time thought it was great or thought much about it at all. Sam Sherwood is here, and Brad calls you Sammy Sherwood. Which one did you go by, or do you go by?
I went on the air by Sammy Sherwood.
Sammy Sherwood.
And why, I don't know. Because Sherwood isn't really my name either.
See? Actually, it's George Finkel here with us, friend.
No, it's Loretta Young.
Loretta Young.
I changed it for obvious reasons.
I can understand that. Sammy Sherwood, well, why don't we start with how you got involved in this business, and then we can talk about a good many years you spent in rock radio here in the Twin Cities.
Well, I got started, Marv. I guess I got interested in the service. The day I became 17, I graduated from high school and joined the United States Navy, which I thought was a brilliant, groovy move.
We're proud of you.
Because it took me away from America and the world for 4 years, and I forgot everything. Everybody I ever knew disintegrated.
This was back during Admiral Byrd and those days?
This was going over the pole for the first time.
I see.
And that's the first time a penguin was seen, and was really great.
Mm-hmm.
Then we came back and we hitched up with a guy by the name of Columbus, and we came over. And that was 1948. And I got interested in radio while I was in the service, and I was a radio operator at the Wavesbury. No, I was radio operator. And one evening, it was we were out to sea. We happened to be on a ship that was going around the world for about the 40th time, and we never hit port, and the morale was just atrocious. So the captain figured that all the circuits were taken up with different kind of combat missions where the planes would come in and hit the end of the carrier and drop into the water, and they'd fish them out. It was a kind of a fun thing they did on the carriers. And so the morale was so bad that the captain said, we've got to do something with the guys on the ship. I have these 8 records. There was Ziggy Elman and Benny Goodman and Rosemary Clooney, Come On to My House, and Slow Boat to China, and what the heck, I can't remember what the other ones were, but anyway, thought, well, we should play those records on the public address system. If we could rig up a turntable, it would run 78 RPMs. So they did. We took it back to the technicians, and they put the whole thing together. And we sat there and played one record after the other, and pretty soon the guys started to send in requests. And we started to read them between the records. Mm-hmm. Same 8 records every night. Same ones. And we did a whole hour and a half every night with the same 8 records. Finally, it got to be tough seas out, and we broke a couple, and then we did the show with, it got down to about 3 records.
I see. And you started to sing, and that canceled the program.
Yeah, we tap danced. We did the whole number, the whole bag, and but it was a great morale builder, and it got to be dirty radio. You know, everybody in radio says, what if we could get to be dirty radio and say all kinds of things that we wanted to say? Well, that we did, because it was within the ship's decks, and it was great for the crew. So after getting discharged, I had the GI Bill, and of course all this radio experience under my belt. I knew music now.
Right.
At least 5 records.
At least.
And I entered college, went to Hamlin University, and thought that I would play football and hockey and do all the things that I was out of shape 4 years ago to do. And after a long tenure at college, I think it was, I think I went into about the 5th week. And then I decided I knew everything there was to know there.
That's long enough, yeah.
Yeah, a guy can't...
Small college like that, it's not much.
A guy can't get overloaded with knowledge.
That's
it's
true.
Ridiculous.
That's right.
Because you get loaded up so much, and there's nothing left to fill in there. So, anyway, after leaving that long tenure at college, I thought that I would get a job in broadcasting, being that I was so well experienced. I went into my first radio station, And if they were looking for a writer, and they said, have you ever written? And God knows how many letters I wrote home. And I said, well, of course I wrote. So they said, okay, you're our writer. And that's how I began.
And was that in Twin Cities? The first job?
Yeah, that was, I was a cowboy disc jockey. I was Side Saddle Sore Sam. And I worked for Vic Tedesco.
Is that right?
Yeah.
What was the station?
WCOW in South St. Paul. First commercial radio station I worked in.
WCOW?
Yeah.
WCOW?
Yeah.
What has it turned into? Is it still with us?
Well, yes. It turned into WISK, WISK, and then from there it went to KDWB. Of course, I had left there and gone to other great routes of stardom in between.
Haven't we all? So you really did end up, the first time you got on the air commercially was as a, not a country western, because I guess it was cowboy music back then, wasn't it?
It was cowboy. We played...
Gene Autry, Roy Rogers kind of cowboy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Sons of the Pioneers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, geez. Brought a tear to my heart.
South St. Paul, Stockyard Town, and all that sort of tie-in.
But the people, the loyalty, in those days, that was 1952 or 53. The loyalty in those days, there weren't as many radio stations on the air as there are now. WLOL was on the air, I think, then playing... they had the Big Five, I think, were on the air then. I can't remember who in the heck they were, like...
I've still seen some of their promotional material, as a matter of fact, floating around here.
It was... maybe Roger Kent was one of the guys.
A friend of Ron Fisher's, no doubt.
Let's see. I can't for the life of me. Boyson, Bill Boyson, Bob Boyson, Boyson with Boyson.
Here comes Ron with the Big Five on the tip of his tongue.
What was it? Music by record, Voicin' by Boyson?
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Voicin' by Boyson. Those were the big days, right?
Jack Thayer, I think, was on too. Jack Thayer with Boyson, but we stood over there and played our cowboy.
Played your cowboy music. Well, what happened? What happened to Sammy Sherwood after WCOW, before KDWB?
Well, I went from there into disgust of the radio business. I thought, since there I had a whole year under my belt, I might as well go right to stardom now.
Why wasn't CBS calling?
No, I left the radio business. I went into engineering. I was going to be a chief engineer. And after I was there for a couple of weeks, I thought, well, there's the solder gun and the wrenches and the whole thing. I said, geez, this is simple, man. Now that I'm chief engineer, we've got to go up the ladder.
Right.
But I happened to see all the salesmen, going out and making all those sales calls and generating
white shirts
all of those. Yeah, and coming to work like regular folks instead of midnight till 6, like old Marv does.
Yes.
So I kind of got involved in getting in that end of it. But the real love was for the talent end of it, because I dug being on the air. And I just had a ball. It was just a party for me to be on the air. And I couldn't imagine that I was getting paid for this. It was just a gas.
When did you went back then on the air?
Yeah, I went back on the air. And then I went into motion pictures and wrote and produced and directed and demolished and came back.
Lost a lot of money.
Yep.
Starved a lot.
Yeah, and I came back into radio when Crowell Collier bought WISK and changed it to KDWB.
And when was that in terms of year?
That was September 15th, 1959.
What a good lead-in. I'll tell you what we'll do. There just happened to be a rock and roll revival in town last Saturday night in St. Paul. Why don't we play little bits out of some of the artists that were there, and most of them were playing right around 59, I would guess. Bill Haley was still heard from, although not too much by 59.
That was like a goldie oldie, stacks of wax.
Yeah, right.
Here he is.
Well, if you'd like to introduce, we have Bill Haley. Why don't you give us
I can't even remember how he did it,
I was trying to think about that the other night, too, and trying to think of what I was. I think I was a man of music at one time or something, but it fades quickly.
Rock around the studio, or your mind you get psyched into doing a show, and you get psyched into comedy, and your mind works that way, and you keep working that way, and you keep progressing. But if you're not doing it every day, it's like fixing cars. The 72 models comes out, and you throw the tools away and start over again.
Actually, I guess I'd probably introduce the record like this. Well, let's take this record next on line 1.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, rock. We're going to rock around the clock tonight. Right, so join me home. When the clock's right, we're going to rock around tonight.
was a couple, 2 out of 3 at least. The last one was Buddy Holly doing Bo Diddley instead of Bo Diddley doing Bo Diddley, and in the middle was the Dovells from Philadelphia, as the guy said, who was at the place. We got to take a break here, Sam. So maybe let's do that, and then let's kind of start out with the new KDWB and talk about how that got itself on the air. And I am sure, as with all news stations, just barely.
I'm trying to forget, but...
We just keep bringing it back. This is Open Line, 24 past. Hey, we have lines available. If you'd like to join the conversation, talk to Sammy Sherwood, give a call, 698-5566. This is Open Line. I'm Marv Gatch.
The talk of the Twin Cities. WLOL Bulletin Board.
Fantastic at 24 minutes past the hour of 12 midnight. Oh, Fisher, we get you playing records. You've been out of the business so long, he clutches up on the bulletin board for this hour. Alumni and friends of Gustavus Adolphus College will honor their conference... Oh, this is the one I don't like to read because it's a stag. They'll honor their conference co-champion football team at a stag dinner. I think all you female football fans from Gus ought to show up. It'll be held Monday evening, the 29th, 6:45 p.m. at the Sheraton Motor Inn. Details can be obtained by calling 935-2566. Hey, let's talk to you big men out there who have trouble sometimes finding clothes big enough for you. If you have not yet visited Robinson's Menswear in downtown St. Paul, you really haven't found the place to go. Your one-stop shopping center for big clothes. Robinson's has famous brand-name shirts up to size 22 neck, pants up to size 60, and a big selection of big-size jackets and heavy outerwear for the winter. Robinson's also has all those hard-to-find items that the big man sometimes just can't seem to find anywhere. For instance, BBD athletic suits, button down the front, button on the shoulder, Hanes union suits, long leg, long or short sleeves, coveralls in white hickory stripe or dark green by Lee, bib overalls, Lee work pants, 29 to 60 waist, shoes to match, and blue denim jackets. I wonder if you got blue denim shoes. Probably not. Button front or zipper. How about blue suede shoes? Probably not either. But lots of clothes for you at Robinson's Menswear, from painter overalls to suspenders to caps and hats in all sizes. Best thing for you to do is to visit Robinson's Menswear, 55 East 7th Street, downtown St. Paul. If you'd like to call ahead and see if they got what you're looking for, you do that. Just dial 222-6181. 222-6181, Robinson's Menswear, St. Paul.
WLOL weather.
Hey, forecast says cloudy this morning, a low of 28, partly cloudy Friday, and a little bit warmer through Saturday, but a chance of snow Friday night, so I guess not a whole bunch warmer. Our high Friday 40, low Friday night 32. Right now, outside 33 degrees, cloudy skies.
WLOL
1330.
This morning at 9, it's Brad Johnson. Who was doing rock in the Twin Cities before KDWB came on the scene? Anybody?
DGY.
Yeah. DGY.
Yeah, they began in 56. And that was the lineup of Brother Bill Bennett and Jack Thayer and Don Loughnane and, I can't remember. Maybe Jimmy Ramsberg was on, too, who's now over at KSDP.
Were they the first music and news, so to speak,
They were the
station?
first ones that came in the market with this dirty thing called rock and roll, because that was the dirty word.
Oh, yeah.
And if you went around to sell rock and roll, the salesman, they would say, oh, there's kids, they listen to that thing, they're sick, our whole generation is going to pot. And
So
the same,
they used a different definition for pot in those days, though.
Oh, of course, yeah. And that meant something cylindrical with a bottom on it.
Oh, yeah, I remember under the bed.
It wouldn't
Under
stay
the bed.
lit.
Yeah, okay.
But they came on, and the first crack out of the box is I remember somebody mentioned that their advertising rates were, they came in and they were asking $25 for a commercial of any way, shape, or form on that radio station. And, of course, $25 for a commercial on a radio station
in 56.
In 56, even WCCO didn't charge that much. And this was just phenomenal. And they came on, and of course the migration to the frequency was just enormous. They were going such gangbusters, and they were having such a ball. And everything that rock and roll radio was, they did.
Yeah.
And then in 1959 is when we came in.
This was KDWB.
Yeah, that's
new call letters.
Yeah, Crowell Collier began at KFWB in Hollywood, and they were the first rock and roll station in Los Angeles. And that was just what amazing perception. Here's a market, one of the second largest market in the country, And here somebody says, hey, let's do rock and roll music in Los Angeles. Nobody had ever thought of it until 1958. Can't imagine. I thought...
58?
1958.
My goodness.
And I would think that would be the first market that somebody would just blow apart with rock music. Well, then they had KFWB there, then they bought a station in San Francisco, KEWB, then they bought KDWB here, and all three were programmed similar, and all the same guys were. It was a great organization. Some of the greatest people in broadcasting, in rock broadcasting, were with Crowell Collier. Gary Owens was probably the most prominent who was with Crowell Collier.
Gary Owens is the Laugh-In announcer now.
Yeah, yeah.
And also still does a music show, doesn't he, in the West Coast?
KMPC, yeah. He's his trademark is listen to Gary Owens between 3 o'clock on KMPC. Super clever cat.
Yeah.
Super clever.
Yeah. How does a station come into a large market like the Twin Cities with a format which is very similar to an already existing station which has the edge on you? What do you do to break loose the listeners?
Well, Crowell Collier was very promotion and program-oriented and very contest-oriented and very unique. What was being done in rock radio then by McClendon and by Storrs Broadcasting, which was DGY, and McClendon was another big rock broadcaster in the country. They played the music, and they didn't have the entertainment value that Crowell Collier had between the records. They said, anybody can play the records, but nobody can entertain between the records. And their conception of entertainment between the records was a new phase. And you had to go through the Crowell Collier School of Broadcasting to be on the station. I went through a school and was completely annihilated. How to deliver comedy, how to be an entertainer, how to write it.
There really was a school?
Oh, yes.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, and we went through an indoctrination period which probably most people would have gotten out of the business. But once you got through it, it was an enormous experience, just the most fulfilling thing. And you really knew how to communicate with an audience at little different things. When you're talking to the microphone, you're talking to one person. You're always using the element of you and all of these things that were fed into it and then elaborated upon in making them part of the entertainment entity of the program.
There's been a running battle amongst program directors in rock music between that class on the one hand who says the music is what the audience wants to hear, and if the more music you play, the more audience you get. And the other type, which is saying what you're saying, no, you need some entertainment, anybody can play a record. And I can recall in Des Moines as the stations would change hands and get a new program director, it'd swing from all music, no talk, to lots of talk, lots of contests, lots of entertainment. I guess you had kind of the battle royal here then, with one station playing mostly music and the other trying to entertain also.
It's always been a battle, and it's always been a lot of fun. Competition is healthy, and it's a lot of fun. With the stations then, it was KDWB was new, brand new in the market, and of course DGY had been there for 3 years, and people were ready for something new. Well, you can go so long, and then people want something new again. It keeps changing over, and just even today, it'll go somewhat back and forth. And at the moment, I think probably KD. Of course, there are a lot more entities in it too. Now are a lot more pop music outlets. There are different degrees of pop music.
Right.
There's KQ, there's KD, there's DGY, there's
KRSI, WWTC,
many stations. And WAYL, I got to mention that one.
I've heard of that. Pop music? Well, let's talk about that, too. Let's talk about the whole range of broadcasting. But first, the old clock on the wall says that we should take a break. That's not rock radio. That's 1930s radio. This is Open Line on WLOL-AM and FM, Minneapolis, St. Paul. I'm Marv Gatch.
WLOL 1330.
WLOL's 48-hour repeater rule was instituted to make talk radio more interesting.
AM and FM, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the talk of the Twin Cities.
WLOL weather.
This is Central Weather Service with the Twin Cities weather forecast. Variable cloudiness and cold today. High temperatures only in the mid to upper 30s. Northwest winds 15 to 20 miles per hour. A few snow showers for this morning. In the mid-20s. West winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Variable cloudiness. And the outlook for Saturday, mostly cloudy with a chance for a few showers. High temperatures in the upper 30s. Southwest winds 15 to 20 miles per hour. This is Wayne Peterson reporting exclusively for WLOL Radio, directly from Central Weather Service.
Okay, take a break, man. Hi, this is James Brown, and I'm speaking for the President's Council on Physical Fitness and Sports. If any of you boys and girls out there ever caught my act, you know I've got to be in shape to perform the way I do. You better believe it, too. It takes stamina to do your best day after day. Anyone who says out of school that get back in, you dig it. Sure, classroom education is important, but so is physical education. Working out in the gym every day, running, playing ball, shooting baskets, that keeps you in shape. Exercise like that keeps you mentally alert as well, you dig? Develops better coordination. And just as important, once you get in a good habit of keeping fit, it can last you, believe me, a lifetime.
This is WLOL News feature writer J.D. Ball. Join me Friday morning during Newsline at 6:50 and then again at 8:50 when I talk with Richfield Mayor Stan Olson about a new Viking football stadium proposal, an alternative to a downtown Minneapolis stadium. How much will it cost? Where will it be built? And what's the seating capacity? Well, Mayor Olson answers these and other questions Friday morning. So join me, J.D. Ball, on Newsline at 6:50 and 8:50 on WLOL, the talk of the Twin Cities.
Call WLOL Open Line, 698-5566.
And now, from Minneapolis, St. Paul,
WLOL,
the talk of the Twin Cities, continues with Open Line.
Gonna tell Aunt Mary about Uncle John. He claimed he has the misery, but he having a lot of fun. Oh, baby. Yeah, baby. Woo, baby. Having me some fun tonight. Yeah. Well, long talk that she's beautiful species guy. Everything that Uncle John need. Oh, baby. Yeah, baby. Woo, baby. Having me some fun tonight. Yeah. Well, I saw Uncle John with bald head Sally. He saw Aunt Mary coming and he ducked back in the alley. Oh, baby.
Well, little Richard there, and we're back with Open Line. Marv Gatch here, and Sam Sherwood here. I'm looking at a KDWB Discoveries with Sam Sherwood lounging on the edge of the K, Hal Murray sitting on top of the K, Randy Cook, WWTC, Brown Institute, lying on the D, Bobby Dale, Bob Friend, Lou Riegert,
Yeah.
Art Way, and Don Duchesne. I know that Don and Randy are in town. Sam is. How about the other guys?
Hal Murray, the last I heard, was on the beach down in Miami.
Oh, must be tough.
And Bobby Dale, the last I heard, was in some commune in San Francisco. And Bob Friend is in Akron, Ohio, and Art Way's in San Diego, California.
Well, it just goes to show how you can start in a small market like the Twin Cities, work your way up. We have some people waiting on the line that have been patient. Maybe we should take some calls. 698-5566, the number. Good morning. You're on WLOL, and my guest can hear you.
Yes, I was wondering what you...
I'm sorry. Say again, please.
Oh, yeah, I called in about this rock and roll dancing this for young kids. Well, I think it's about the best thing that really happened, you know, because the dancing and that is so, you know, common. Like today's dancing, you don't know what they're doing, right?
Well, I recall that kids weren't dancing before rock. Kids used to dance to the big bands, but there was a period when you didn't dance to music much, wasn't there, Sam? After World War II, dancing kind of faded away for a while till rock came back in, as I recall. It was
kind of a sit-down and listen type thing.
Yeah, the big bands, and you listen to the Stan Kenton or the whatever.
Yeah, Stan Kenton and Stan... I know them all, Mark.
Yeah,
they're just right there.
Right there. And then rock came in, and of course what they did was, I guess it was called the Lindy. Lindy originally, it was kind of a takeoff from jitterbugging or Lindy.
I mean, like the jitterbug and that's a better dance than, you know, what they do now. At least you know what you're